Sawadee-hop, 大家好, boys and girls. Another weekend in the Dan district in Taipei. Time for another video, and this time we'll talk about the cost of living in Taipei. I think it's a good topic to cover in 2025 as the cost of living crisis kind of rages around the world. Yeah, would be a good topic to cover. We're just gonna speak very briefly about the cost of rentals, cost of housing, because I did a dedicated video on that earlier this year, so we won't go too much into detail on that. Instead, we're going to talk more in detail about the cost of food, groceries, eating out, and specifically about all these little daily miscellaneous things that don't seem like much but actually add up quite substantially on a monthly basis. So let's dive right into it. This is Dan, by the way, near Dan Road North, Dan Road Section 1 rather. Alright, let's dive right into it. First of all, let's establish the income framework. What's considered normal, what's considered low and high in the context of Taiwan nationally and Taipei in general as well as a location. So there was a report recently published by the Director General for Statistics, Accounting, and what was it? Something else? Basically some kind of a stats bureau, publishing the average salaries for Taiwan. And it turns out, at least this year, in the first 6 months of 2025, incomes have been growing faster than the inflation rate of 2.5%, I think, somewhere in that range. So the real incomes are growing a bit faster. That's a good thing. And the average income, average regular income in Taiwan was about let me think, 47,000 and change. I will link the article in the description so you can see it in more detail. So 47,000, but that is the average number, which means it is skewed by the outliers and the mean is always lower. So the mean regular income is at about 36, 37, somewhere in that range, if I'm not wrong. I might be wrong, could be about 40. I looked at the article some time ago. And the higher end is at about 1,000 per month Taiwan dollars. And that's the average high range. If you are working in a management role in a major corporation like TSMC or Nvidia or Google, you'll be making a lot more than that. Obviously, you'll be looking at hundreds of thousands, but still, 80,000 is the kind of higher range for semiconductor, electronics, software engineering sectors, and manufacturing, high-end manufacturing. Average wages, starting wages in the food service industry are about 40,000, maybe higher 30s, 35, 37, into 40s. So that gives you the indication of the kind of the salaries that people in the retail are looking at, generally hoping to make something about 45, 50, but actually making about 35, 40. In science and research and academia, you're lucky if you are making around 70,000. That's a good range. 60 to 70,000 is a good range. So in between those, food service retail sector in the 40s, and research and academia in the 60s and 70s, and the higher end manufacturing in the 80s. In that, in the middle of all that, in the 50 and 60 range, is where most of the people are making in the office roles. All these marketing managers, office managers, logistics clerks, people filling your orders, are all making at about 50 to 60,000. But at the ground level here, you're lucky if you make about 45, 50 a month, unless you own the business. But even then, when you own the business, sometimes it's kind of near the bottom as well, because a lot of these businesses are family owned. So it's like 3, 4, 5 people from the same family. Each one is taking a 50,000 out of it. So that's your business. On street level retail, which I love, which is one of the things that I find interesting in life. Urban, rural, suburban, whatever. But basically it is organic small business retail at the street level, I think, is what makes the character of the communities. You can interact with people, see how they go about their daily lives, what industries can thrive in a community. Basically what makes the fabric of daily life. So back onto the topic of the costs. Speaking of Asia, people living in the West often have this misconception that everywhere in Asia is real cheap, which is not necessarily true. There's a big range. You have fairly expensive Singapore, fairly expensive Tokyo. Then you have places like smaller towns in Thailand, which can be incredibly affordable to live. Taipei is not the most expensive capital city in terms of most daily expenses, but it's a bit on the higher side when it comes to the housing. Now let's look at the living costs, rentals. I won't be going into purchase and mortgage rates and the mortgage like interest rates, because that's another big topic. On the rentals per se, I did an earlier video in winter this year, February or March, so you may refer to that one. But here's some general numbers. Place like this, it will cost you about so I was staying in a roughly similar place like this, but actually even a better one, and I was paying about 36 per month for a small one-bedroom apartment, also in Dan. That was a couple of years ago, but the rents haven't really changed that much. My building was better in that it had a small swimming pool, a little gym, and it had, most crucially, the elevator and garbage collection. These ones, I don't think it has an elevator. Oh, maybe it does. Yeah, maybe it is there. In that case, it will have the garbage collection. Those will take some premium. This location probably takes a premium for being right in the middle of everything. Hustle and bustle. It might even be 35, 40 for a small one bedroom. I've also stayed out in the sticks in Wan Long, and not exactly in the sticks, but a bit further out in Shilin. And generally I was paying about 15 to 18 a month for kind of quasi apartment type room. Basically a little room with a mini kitchenette and a private bathroom, Hong Kong style, where the bathroom is combined with the shower and toilet, everything in the same space. Those are in 15,000-18,000 range, within a few stations right from the center. Wherever you work, you will find something kind of at the entry level at about 15 to 20,000. When right in the downtown area, you will find something. And if you are really on a tight budget, like if you are an international student coming in from somewhere where incomes are not that high and you haven't saved up a whole lot, chances are you will be sharing an apartment with a bunch of people, and in general people will be paying something like 10 to 15 per room depending on the apartment. There may or may not be private bathrooms, and there will be typically one shared kitchen. I stayed in a place like that as well. It kind of works when you're young enough. Well, the older guy like me, not my thing anymore. Not my thing. One of the really good things about staying downtown, anywhere, but especially in Taipei, is that everything is so convenient. All these convenience stores, your like mobile company office, your shopping street, your little shopping street, your eating out, coffee shop, everything is within a stone's throw, so to speak. A lot depends on the subway line, MRT line that you live on. Some lines are kind of more logistically convenient or even operationally. Like the brown line is not that inconvenient. The route is laid out well, but getting in and out of it, and the trains are kind of small, so you always end up standing, and getting in and out of these elevated platforms is a bit of a chore. So I think the best lines in that regard are the blue line over there. It's one of the best lines, and the red line is also quite convenient. Goes through all the places that people generally need. Let's look at this little street here. For grocery shopping, so here's the PX Mart. It's usually the choice between PX Mart and Carrefour. Right now I'm going mainly to Carrefour, Jarafu, but before I used to go mainly to PX Mart. It's just basically depends on your location, whichever is closer, and prices are similar. I think Carrefour has slightly better choices. PX Mart might have some slightly cheaper options. For standard branded items, they're pretty much identical because of the centralized distribution and pricing. I think I'll stop by Jarafu, Carrefour. Another day, another small groceries run, and they have this Norwegian salmon for 155. That's a bit much. What? There is a Chilean coho salmon, 128. I think I'll get this one. Yeah. Chicken breast is a bit cheaper today, 89, 10 NT discount. But I already have some chicken, so I won't need it. Oil is actually kind of a major expense item. It costs almost 900 for a large 2-liter bottle. It lasts me 3 to 4 months, maybe 3 months. With milk, prices kind of seem to fluctuate a little bit. So 71 is the cheapest for the cheapest brand, or the cheapest kind of, yeah, the cheapest it gets. But usually around 70 to 80, sometimes not. This one kind of varies, 85 to 95 for some reason, I don't know. This time a fairly small shopping run. This should be about 280, under 300 NT. 来这不要 Yeah, like I thought. 好。谢谢。 time will be a little bit more typical, once every couple of days shoppings. So this bread is 55, but I found some at discount for 44. This is the raisin whole grain. Put the other one back so that somebody else can enjoy the discount. To me, one is enough. Chicken breast, no discount this time, 99.80. But there is a slightly cheaper one for 90. So I'm gonna get this one. Usually I buy the 200 gram, lasts me a couple of weeks. This time I'm gonna take 100 gram because the way the prices are right now, I'm not really saving at all by doing the 200 gram. I don't need eggs either this time, but what I do need, I usually take these ones for 89. Yeah, you need some dark chocolate, 89. It's a good deal. Yeah. As for pasta, so there's quite a range. Agnesi is the highest quality. Generally, I go with the house brand because Carrefour house brand is essentially the same Agnesi, but it's a bit cheaper by like 15 NT per pack. This time the penne regate seems to be gone, but I see there is one here. Yeah, so penne. Let's get it. I know this isn't the most sustainable or even the most frugal thing, but I do need my carbonated water time to time. So I'm gonna take the house brand. Beers, I don't drink a lot of beer, but just for reference, Taiwan beer in the store, 38 for a glass bottle, and generally cans are about 28, 29. These are the most common ones. So imported will be quite a lot more expensive. I'm gonna take one small bottle just for kind of for research purposes. Oranges, 87, 3 small oranges. Oh wow, avocado is down to 45. I'm gonna grab a couple. Yeah, maybe I'll take one kind of green one and another that is already ripe. Yeah, these ones are kind of pricey in the winter. They are about 100 NT, 95, and then the price drops to 75 towards the end of the summer, and now it's 45. So there's a seasonal glut of them, and it's still a bit more expensive than in Chiang Mai, for instance. In Chiang Mai they would be like 30 a piece. Yeah, so there you have it, a small shopping run. I think this should be well under 600, 500 and change probably, and I do these every other day. So yeah, so this little supply run, which I do every other day, cost me 612 Taiwan dollars. I'm off by 12 NT, but I think it's not a huge deal. Like so. Everybody eats out, even the poor people, because comparatively speaking, it's not as expensive compared to dining at home. If the groceries are relatively expensive and eating out is relatively cheap, people generally prefer save time and kind of eat out more. So in my cost calculations here, I'm putting in at least 20 dine outs per month, but the amount you spend per dine out will depend on your income level. At the lower end of the range, you'll be looking to spend maybe 100 to 150 per eating out, and if you are in the medium range, okay, you will probably spend about 200 to 250 per eating out. And if you are the top earner making top dollar, you will be spending, like, there's no limit really. You'll be spending 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 1,000 sometimes for eating out. so it's not really a big deal here for top earners. But those will be kind of one-off things. Typically, even the high earners, they don't do that all the time, not every night. People generally have their heads screwed on most of the time. So local street food, you can have a beef noodles here. Beef noodle, big bowl is about 170, 180. You can have smaller kind of side dishes, chicken rice, pork rice for about I think under 100. Yeah, you can scrape together a meal, maybe about 120. Yeah, it's definitely you can still get some local food relatively cheaply. You can also have a local franchise like Formosa Chan here for something like 120, 135. Yeah, so around 120 you can totally have a meal. It's like a bento box, Taiwan style. Sukiya is actually a reasonable thing, reasonable deal. For 139, I think you can get your flame grilled chicken. Yeah, so something like this would be 139. Or you can get for 150 beef teriyaki don. That's the standard offer. Oi Punjabi Indian restaurant. Okay, 400. So it's going to cost you about 800 per person per meal, which is a bit expensive. Somehow Indian restaurants usually end up being expensive and portions are small. Yeah, but I do know a place in Banchao which is a good deal for chicken tikka masala. You can have, I think, for 600 per person. Look at this. These are scenes from Hong Kong, Nathan Road probably. Maybe back in the 90s. It doesn't look like this anymore. Or even before 90s. The other picture is quite vintage. Yeah. Good old days in Hong Kong. Let's look at this yakitori place, it seems. Or teppanyaki. Those skewers for from 170, 150 to 300 and up. And there's beers as well. So you'll probably leave about 500, 600 for a night out here. Maybe up to 1,000. Yeah. This area will be a bit on the pricier side. You can generally get some foods for like 150, 170. You can totally get something. Yeah, like all these places here are about 120, 130. Small street food. Also, seafood restaurants here in Shang Road on the east portion. They're quite pricey. They'll easily cost you about 1,000 Taiwan dollar per night. Yeah, some big sets for large groups of people. But generally at about 1,500 probably per person. All the beers are Japanese. So I wonder if this goes way back to the old days. It could be, could well be. Cheaper street foods. Light meal for about 100. Over there, somewhere, there is a really nice burger joint. One of the best in Taipei. Burgers are, I think, 250, which is pricey, but they're some of the best. This part, kind of closer to the Zhongsha Road. There's so many like specialty restaurants, Malaysian, Indian, Mexican. I haven't tried all of them. I barely tried. some places. So you can generally find something for about 300 per meal, 400 max. So in terms of eating out, this is probably one of the best locations in Taipei. Just further east from Dunhua Road, Yanji Road, closer to Zhongxiao Road. In terms of eating out, is really good. So another Indian restaurant, ITT. This sounds suspiciously cheap. 200 for some kind of curry set, chicken curry. Yeah, suspiciously cheap for the Indian restaurant. But maybe it's good, I don't know. Never tried that. Overall, with the groceries and eating out, food costs can cost you anywhere from I'd say 10,000 very aggressively to 20,000 very conservatively. So you're probably gonna hit the ballpark or about 12 to 15,000 in most cases. Look at that, very nice. The golden hour, the dying rays of the sun. Fortunately, I have to go. In addition, of course, there will be kind of small daily errands, daily runs, emergency purchases out of convenience store. You run out of something, or you suddenly have a craving. So there will be Family Mart, 7-Eleven, that kind of thing. Maybe a little bubble tea, coffee, as we mentioned. This little breakfast of egg pancake and milk tea cost me 90 NT altogether. I can get a variety of sandwiches and stuff. If that's not enough, I also get a salad from 7-Eleven, so that's 60 NT. And I can get a full breakfast for 150 Taiwan dollars. Little puffs for 15. Really not cheap. 20 yuan, 6 for 100. Bubble tea, 50, 60, 75. This will be about 60 for a quick bite on the go. This one you've seen already. This is my pork bun shop. It's 50 Buka. There's another bubble tea to go brand. Buka is actually a sizable brand. They have some very nicely decorated stores, but it's usually always takeaway. So these are actually imitation of King's. Tea is starts from 45 to 55 to 60 to 75 Taiwan dollars per cup. There's many other bubble tea brands in Taiwan. It's very competitive. They have Chat Flamwe, one of my favorite tea brands. Oh yeah, I can't stay. I have to go. Despite the relatively late hour, it's a bit hot. I think it's too hot for October, but it's quite balmy. It's kind of in the territory where you don't know if you like the weather or you should be concerned about it. Because oh, it's quite nice, a bit windy, balmy, but it shouldn't be this warm in October. That's what I mean. It's a bit too warm. It shouldn't be this warm in October. So in general, those will cost you about 50 or 60 Taiwan dollar a pop. So that's 1.5, $2 US, maybe a couple of dollars Canadian per trip, per visit. Kama, I have my regular tea there. Cost me 55 Taiwan dollars a pop. Yeah, or any little independent store like that. Generally, if you stay away from big brands like Starbucks, it will cost you under 100 NT. Yeah, like this one here. Yeah, 美国茶 55.
好，
你好，一样。
美国
茶，热的，一元元的。哦，
没有会员直接结账。
这就有。
好，谢谢。刷卡吗？
是有的。
可以了，谢谢。这样就可以稍后一下哦。
谢谢。Yeah, these little treats are fairly cheap here in Taiwan. So a little break in Bade Road, looking at the fire station and enjoying some meguota. This is mixed berry tea, no caffeine, small amount of sugar, minimal. A very nice little coffee shop. Okay. Aircon. Electricity, air conditioning is a big expense in Taiwan. So it really depends on how your bills are structured, how it's arranged. If you're paying directly to the utilities, you'll be paying the national rate of about 2 point something per kilowatt hour. So for the single person, you'll be generally able to keep it at around 1,000, sometimes less, sometimes more. Maybe in the summer you'll rack up to 1,500. But a lot of times, most of the time, when people are renting, they're paying through their landlord or landlady more often, and they're gonna charge you a premium markup for the kilowatt hour. I've done both. I've been paying both directly many years ago, some years ago, and for the past few years I've been paying through the landlord or landlady, and they've been charging me around 5 NT per kilowatt hour. So in the winter times, when I barely use electricity or aircon, it cost me about 1,000 to 1,000 to 1,500 per month. So that's in the winter, and in the summer it can rack up to 2,500 in the hot months because of the aircon usage. In general, it will average at about 22, 2,300 per month. This is through the landlord or landlady. If you do take some conscious effort, you can keep it within 2,000 on average, I think. Yeah, it really depends on how much you use the air conditioning. Also, cooking at home will add up a little bit, but mostly it's air conditioning. So it depends on your tolerance to heat and humidity. On the internet, I'm paying $5.99, 600 per month at Far East. This one here. 牙价费。我的电话。So yeah, I just paid $5.99, 600 for my monthly contract. This is unlimited voice and data, and if you do need, like, most of the time the internet is included in your rent, but if you do need additional internet, there's package deals for usually about 1,000 or 1,200 with kind of phone and cable internet. So that was your phone, your internet. I think it's pretty cheap, 600. You can get a maybe a slightly better deal, slightly worse deal, but generally it's about the same for Far East, Taiwan Mobile, T-Mobile. Who else is that? Chunghwa Telecom. Yeah, they all have about the same deal. Generally at around 600 for 1 month of unlimited. The only problem is the minimum contract is 2 years. Even if you are like a permanent resident, you have everything, all the paperwork. Generally, it's 2-year minimum contract. They do have prepaid ones, but and they're cheap. You can get them at the airport, but they're not convenient because if you're staying long enough, they'll become annoying. They keep expiring on you, so I wouldn't advise that for any longer than 6 months. 6 months, I think. In terms of miscellaneous, toiletries, personal care, housekeeping, etc., and meds, supplements, vitamins. So there's these Watsons, for instance, a Hong Kong chain of pharmacies, and let's say a regular toothpaste will cost you 99. Yeah, I get slightly better one. I get the, what's it called? Oh crap, I'm getting all Sensodyne, is it called? So it's basically about 200 NT. Yeah. And shampoos and everything are gonna cost you about a couple of hundred in general per bottle, and it's gonna last you a couple of months at least. Soap as well. So basically your miscellaneous personal care, vitamins, supplements stuff is going to rack you about 500 a month. That's generous, I think, or average. Definitely you can spend way more if you are into luxury cosmetics, but for most people 500 a month is more than enough. By the way, I don't see this one very often. Small Honda. Small but powerful. Which one is this one? Yeah. CBR. Okay. See them a lot in Thailand. Not as many in Taiwan. So PX Mart Daily station. Yeah, same prices, 71 to 85 to 90 per liter of milk, depending on the type. There's a particular kind of shampoo that I need. This is one of the larger PX Marts. Maybe they have it still. They may. All kinds of stuff. 不好意思，请问，这个还有吗？Bio Blast， 这个有吗？那是什么东西？小香布啊？洗头发的就这边呢。This one is apparently good, or at least commands some premium, but I think it's a lot of money. 400 for a how much? 375 milligram. Oh well, I guess this will do in lieu of the non-existent one. Hey, I found it. It's right here. Actually, I'm gonna stock up on it. This will last me quite a while, and the price is good. Turkey. Transportation-wise, your number one option will be U-Bike, the U-Bike. It's functionally free most of the rides, 90% of the time, unless you're using the electric version, which is 40 Taiwan dollars per ride, which is actually quite expensive. It's more than the average ride on the MRT. Driving in Taiwan, I do not advise. In general, not really my thing. Although cars are relatively cheap here. They're actually quite cheap. Some of them are even cheaper than in Thailand. Yeah. So you see these Toyota dealerships all over the place. The main problem here is parking. Parking is the big thing. And the other problem is people drive like crazy, like maniacs. So I do not advise. But if you can't live without driving, you can get a clunker like this. Decent 10-year-old Toyota for maybe a couple $100,000 NT. No more than 300,000. So basically under 10,000 US, there's a lot of options. And even under 5,000, there's a lot of options. If you are adventurous, you might buy your little scooter, get your scooter license, which doesn't require a class. You just pass the exam. I haven't done that. I'm not crazy enough to ride a scooter here, but that's an option. Of course, you're gonna have to use the MRT fairly often. So the average trip will cost you about 30-35 one way. So the average round trip will be about 60 Taiwan dollars. 30 days, so that's almost 1,800. Some trips are cheaper, 25, but on average 1,800 per month if you use it every day. I don't use it every day, so maybe I spend about 500 NT per month. You can get a monthly pass, which would probably be about 15 or 1,200 NT per month, but I don't know exactly because I never used it. I just kind of pay per use. Yeah. One of the advantages of living in a tropical, semi-tropical country is you don't spend a whole lot on clothing. Like, get through this thing. Especially as a male person, as a guy. Maybe it's a different story for ladies. As a male dude, I'm barely spending at all on clothing. I bought like one shirt and one t-shirt this year from Uniqlo, and that's pretty cheap, like, and they last a long time. I have like Uniqlo t-shirts from 5 years ago, so they last. If you allocate about 1,000 a month for clothing, you're already doing pretty good. For a guy, that's even rich, but even for a lady, I think that's fairly adequate, unless you're into some designer kind of shit. Here's an exception. Expensive athletic wear, if you are into some kind of an activity that requires specialized gear or specialized clothing. Like if you are into like serious running, road running, mountain running, you might need to change your runners more often. So I used to have some Hokas in Singapore. They were quite affordable back then, but here they are a bit overpriced, maybe because people who buy them kind of pay premium, or maybe just the location in Zhongxiao, Fuxing. Yeah, so Hoka here, maybe I wouldn't buy. I would find some cheaper options. Those stores, dollar stores, actually they're better quality than most other places. Yeah, the ones in Thailand, they kind of suck in comparison. Glasses are actually a lot cheaper than in a lot of other places. Okay. Partly because a lot of the time the lenses are made in Taiwan. Yeah. So. Just came here. This is a Shopee store. I just came here to collect some purchases. When it's done, you basically enter your phone number and then the collection code for your thing, and it will pop up here in the mailbox. You can collect your parcel. This is a small pair of headsets, because my headphones are dead now. And through a machine like this, Unmanned, there's nobody here. So here's a little chart with kind of projected average incomes and estimated average incomes and estimated average expenditures per month. So you make your own kind of judgment. Is it enough to survive in Taiwan? Is the economy in general and the labor market are doing okay in Taiwan? I would say yes for now, compared to the most of the developed countries. It's doing relatively okay, way better than the United States, than China, than the EU at places, I think. Definitely better than the UK, arguably better than Japan, arguably better than Thailand. However, this is the current situation. There's a lot of industry concentration in semiconductors. So a little more diversification would help. The sudden strengthening of the Taiwan dollar kind of alleviated the inflation concerns, but it also makes the exports less competitive in the longer run. So for the time being, Taiwanese are making enough to get by and even put some money aside, but cost of living is still quite a pinch in terms of the rentals. I think it's still a big chunk. So what's the optimal strategy in my mind? In my view, the optimal strategy is pretty much the same as everywhere. Aim for some higher earnings, aim for the higher earnings, but keep your expenses at average or below average. So aim for above average, but spend below average. In that case, you'll be able to keep your rental expenses within 25% of your monthly income, and keep your food expenses at about 15% or less even. So it's not uncommon for people working in Taiwan, whether locals or expatriates, immigrants, to sock away almost half of their monthly income. It's not that uncommon. This is something I think people should be doing, no matter where you live. If you live in a country with higher cost of housing and increasingly higher cost of groceries and even transportation, it's becoming increasingly more difficult to do so. So that's the conclusion for now, I guess. Earn more, spend less. And I'm gonna wrap on this one. Have a good day all.